You know, I was talking to a friend the other day, and she said something that stopped me dead in my tracks. She said, "I feel like I'm fighting battles on every side, and just when I think I've won one, 3 more pop up." And I looked at her and I said, "Darling, what if I told you that you're not supposed to be fighting all of them?" She looked at me like I'd grown a second head. But here's the truth that most people miss. God said rest, because he's fighting battles you can't even see. And that's not just some pretty phrase to embroider on a pillow. That's the actual secret to why you're so exhausted. Let me ask you something, and be honest with yourself. How many of you are lying awake at 3 in the morning, mentally rehearsing conversations that haven't happened yet? You're arguing with your boss about something he might say next week. You're defending yourself against criticism that nobody's even given you. You're solving problems that don't exist yet, and some of them never will. And then you wonder why you wake up more tired than when you went to bed. You're fighting invisible wars, my dear, and the enemy isn't even showing up to half of them. I spent years doing this myself. I would walk around like a general preparing for battle, strategizing, planning my defense, building walls, sharpening swords. And you know what happened? I was so busy preparing for attacks that I completely missed the blessings trying to land in my lap. It's like standing in the rain with an umbrella, complaining about being thirsty. The provision is right there, but you're too busy protecting yourself from it. Here's what nobody tells you about faith. It's not passive. Resting in God's promises isn't about becoming lazy or irresponsible. It's about recognizing that there's a difference between your work and God's work. Your work is to show up, do what's in front of you, and stay in alignment with truth. God's work is everything else, including all those battles happening in dimensions you can't even perceive. And when you try to do God's work, you're not helping. You're just getting in the way and exhausting yourself in the process. Think about it this way. Imagine you hired the best attorney in the world to handle your case. This attorney has never lost. Ever. They have unlimited resources, perfect wisdom, and they genuinely care about your outcome. Now, would you show up to court and try to argue the case yourself? Would you interrupt your attorney mid-sentence to add your 2 cents? Would you stay up all night researching law when you don't even have a law degree? No, you'd be ridiculous to do that. You'd let the attorney do what they do best. But somehow, when it comes to God, we think we need to micromanage the entire universe. I'll tell you a funny story. Years ago, I was waiting for something important to manifest in my life. I won't bore you with the details, but let's just say I wanted it badly, and I did everything right on the spiritual side. I affirmed, I visualized, I believed, but I also worried. Oh, did I worry? I worried so much that I gave myself a stomachache for 3 weeks. One day, in the middle of my worry session, I heard this inner voice, clear as a bell, say, "I'm handling this. Your job is to rest and trust. My job is to move heaven and earth if necessary." And I laughed, because it was so obvious. Here I was, trying to move heaven and earth with my tiny human hands, when the one who actually created heaven and earth was saying, "I got this, sweetheart. Go take a nap." So I did. I literally took a nap. And when I woke up, I felt different. Not because anything external had changed, but because I had finally stopped trying to control the uncontrollable. Within 2 weeks, the thing I wanted manifested in a way I never could have orchestrated myself. It was better than what I'd imagined, actually, and it required 0 stomach aches. Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty of why this is so hard for most of us. We live in a culture that glorifies struggle. We wear our exhaustion like a badge of honor. Someone asks how you're doing, and you say, "Oh, I'm so busy, so stressed, haven't slept in days," and somehow that makes you feel important. It's madness. We've equated productivity with worthiness and rest with laziness. But the universe doesn't operate on hustle culture principles, my dear. The universe operates on divine order, and divine order includes rest. There's actually a scientific principle that mirrors this spiritual truth, and it's called the law of reversed effort. The harder you try to force something, the more it resists you. Have you ever noticed that when you desperately try to remember someone's name, it disappears from your mind? But the moment you stop trying and relax, boom, there it is. Or when you're trying to fall asleep, and the trying keeps you awake. But when you stop trying and just rest, sleep comes naturally. The same principle applies to every area of life. Your desperate clutching and controlling actually repels the very things you want. Here's the framework I want you to understand. There are 3 levels of work in your life. The first level is physical work, the things you do with your hands and your time. The second level is mental work, your thoughts, plans, and intentions. The third level is spiritual work, and that's where God operates. Most people are trying to operate on all 3 levels simultaneously, and it's killing them. You're not built for that. You're built to handle levels 1 and 2, while surrendering level 3 entirely. When you try to operate on the spiritual level, you create what I call interference patterns. It's like trying to tune into a radio station, but you keep jiggling the dial. The signal is already there, broadcasting clearly, but your interference makes it staticky and unclear. God is already working on your behalf, orchestrating circumstances, moving people, opening doors, but your anxiety and control issues are creating static. And then you wonder why you're not seeing results. Let me give you a practical example. Let's say you want a new job. On the physical level, your work is to update your resume, apply to positions, show up to interviews looking presentable. On the mental level, your work is to maintain confidence, affirm your value, visualize success. But on the spiritual level, God's work is to connect you with the right opportunity at the right time, soften the hearts of decision makers, and arrange circumstances you couldn't possibly manipulate yourself. Now, what happens when you try to do God's work? You start obsessing. You check your email 400 times a day. You stalk the company on social media. You call your friend who works there and beg them to put in a good word, even though it makes everyone uncomfortable. You rehearse the interview in your head so many times that when you actually get there, you're exhausted and artificial. See the interference? The battles God is fighting on your behalf are infinite. He's fighting the battle against perfect timing, making sure you don't get the job that would have been wrong for you, even though you wanted it. He's fighting the battle of protection, keeping you away from opportunities that look shiny but are actually traps. He's fighting the battle of preparation, developing skills and character in you that you'll need for what's coming. He's fighting the battle of coordination, aligning multiple people and circumstances in ways that would make your head spin if you could see it all. And he's doing all of this while you're asleep, while you're eating breakfast, while you're binge watching your favorite show. He doesn't need your help. He needs your trust. Now, I can already hear some of you saying, but doesn't God help those who help themselves? First of all, that's not in the Bible. Benjamin Franklin said that, and while Ben was brilliant, he wasn't the final authority on divine operation. Second, there's a massive difference between helping yourself and hindering yourself through anxious striving. Helping yourself means taking inspired action. Hindering yourself means taking desperate action. Can you feel the difference? Inspired action feels light, clear, and energizing. Desperate action feels heavy, forced, and draining. Here's how you know if you're resting in God or fighting battles that aren't yours. Ask yourself, am I taking this action because I feel peaceful and guided? Or because I'm terrified of what will happen if I don't? Am I doing this from a place of trust or a place of fear? Fear-based action always creates more problems than it solves. Always. You send that desperate text, and the relationship gets worse. You force that business deal, and it falls apart. You manipulate that situation, and it backfires. Fear is a terrible strategist. I want you to imagine something with me. Imagine that your life is a garden, and you're the gardener. Your job is to plant seeds, water them, pull weeds, and create good conditions for growth. That's your work, and it's important work. But you cannot make the seeds grow. You cannot force the sun to shine or the rain to fall. You cannot reach into the soil and pull the plant up faster. There's an invisible intelligence in that seed that knows exactly how to become a flower, and your interference won't help it. In fact, if you dig up the seed every day to check on its progress, you'll kill it. This is what you're doing when you won't rest. You're digging up your seeds because you don't trust the process. The battles God is fighting include the battle against your impatience. He's protecting your blessings from arriving before you're ready to handle them. He's fighting against your limited perspective, seeing the chess game 20 moves ahead while you can only see the next one. He's fighting against the chaos of a world full of free will, coordinating thousands of variables you're not even aware exist. And while he's doing all of this, you're over here having a panic attack because things aren't happening on your timeline. Let's talk about timelines for a minute, because this is where people lose their minds. You have an idea of when things should happen. You think you should be married by 30, or successful by 25, or healed by now, or financially stable by this date. And when life doesn't follow your little schedule, you decide something is wrong. But darling, your timeline is based on limited information, cultural conditioning, and comparison to others. God's timeline is based on perfect wisdom and infinite love. Which one do you think is more reliable? I've watched miracles happen in my life and in the lives of others, and I can tell you this with absolute certainty. They never happen on our schedule. They happen on divine schedule, and divine schedule is always better. That thing you wanted 3 years ago that didn't work out? If you look back honestly, you'll probably see that you weren't ready, or it wasn't right, or something better came along. But in the moment, you thought the world was ending because you didn't get your way. Here's a practice I want you to start today. It's simple, but it's powerful. Every time you catch yourself worrying about something, I want you to say out loud, "This is not my battle. God is handling this." And then I want you to take a deep breath and literally relax your body. Drop your shoulders, unclench your jaw, soften your belly. Because here's a secret. Your body doesn't know the difference between a real threat and an imagined one. When you worry, your body goes into fight or flight mode, pumping out stress hormones, preparing for battle. But there's no battle happening in your living room. There's just you, scaring yourself with thoughts. This isn't about being irresponsible or checking out of your life. You still do your part. You still show up. You still take care of your business. But you do it from a place of peace instead of panic. You do your work and then you rest, trusting that the unseen work is being handled by someone far more capable than you. I'll tell you what changed everything for me. I stopped trying to figure out the how. I used to drive myself crazy trying to figure out how my good was going to come. How will I meet the right person? How will the money show up? How will this problem get solved? And every scenario I came up with was limited by my experience and imagination. But God's how is always more creative, more surprising, and more perfect than anything I could have plotted. So now when I want something, I get clear on the what and the why, and I leave the how to God. That's His battle. That's His expertise. Do you know what happens when you truly rest in this truth? You become magnetic. I'm serious. When you stop chasing, controlling, and forcing, you start attracting. It's like the universe says, "Oh, she's finally ready. She's finally out of her own way. Let's bring in her good." I've seen it happen over and over. The person who stops desperately seeking a relationship suddenly meets someone wonderful. The person who stops anxiously checking their bank account suddenly receives unexpected money. The person who stops forcing solutions suddenly sees the answer appear naturally. This is because rest is a vibration. Just like anxiety is a vibration, peace is a vibration, and it attracts matching experiences. When you're vibrating at the frequency of struggle, you attract more struggle. When you're vibrating at the frequency of peaceful expectation, you attract solutions, opportunities, and blessings. It's not magic, it's spiritual law. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Some of you are thinking, but I have real problems. I have bills to pay. I have health issues. I have difficult people in my life. How can I just rest? I hear you. I'm not suggesting you stick your head in the sand and pretend everything is fine.